Welcome back to Career Build Series. This is episode number 96. And so here we are. The train is full, isn't the right word. The train has a bunch of iron ore in it. We, last episode, brought down the dump truck, filled up the train. And so what we're going to be doing is taking the train down to Empire Industries Metal Ore Foundry. We're going to be using the new mineral cars to dump that in. And that is going to give us, go from iron ore into iron ingots. We're then going to take the iron ingots, we're going to dump them back into the facility. That's going to take iron ingots and it's going to mix it with coal and we're going to get steel. And then hopefully we'll be able to take that steel and we'll sell it at Screeches. Now, this is a lot of testing here. You know, we're going to be bringing all these machines. You see that auger I was working with. We have the dump truck, the Mac R. And so this was doing a lot of testing, getting us set up so that I can tell how my mining operation is. I've gone back and I've done some edits on some of the builds to fix them. And so, you know, doing a ton of testing here to try to get all of the parts and machinery working well for this. And so I didn't want to do too much mining at once because we need to kind of go back and streamline the process. You know, so I've gone back and I've already worked on the scraper. I have to go back, we'll do it off screen or a live stream or something, and work on the dump truck. Need to upgrade that a little bit, get that working better. Found out, you know, that trailer funnel is great for, say, using the scraper to dump into the dump truck, but the dump truck is so wide, we need to use the actual train funnel. We've also come up with some new ideas to improve that. So a bunch of improvements here. So hopefully in the future, the mining operation, we can really dig in and spend a lot of time filling up the train. You know, the profitability, again, you know, a lot of people love to do the metas, which is fine, you know, play how you like. I'm not really all about that. I kind of want to do what's fun. And so, yes, there are more profitable things than doing any of this mineral mining. You know, if you think about time as a resource, this takes a lot of time to do this. Oil tends to be a lot quicker and more efficient. So if you're just looking for money, you can do that. But for me, I tend to do what's fun. I want to do something different. I find that more entertaining than just doing the same old thing. And so that's kind of why I'm branching off into this. So we're going to do a little bit of this. This requires a lot of vehicles. As you can see, I have a train with 2 cars on it right now. I have the funnel. I have the other auger. I have the dump truck, the Mac R, the beam trailer. I have the road train, the scraper. These are all the things that needed to be brought out. So it was a big time investment. Now, is this worth it money-wise? Probably not right now. If I spent many hours working on this, it would probably be worth it. Currently, this is a little bit low for me to be doing this. But again, I'm not doing it for the sake of making the most amount of money. I really don't care about that. This was a lot of fun for me. That's what I'm enjoying, and I really want to get testing and make sure I can make each step of the process for mineral mining and then selling as streamlined as I can. And part of it is, as I've said many times, probably ad nauseum at this point, is that the devs put in a bunch of weird logistics things. They had some ideas that are not really how it works in real life. And you'll find that if you often do things realistically, you know, a lot of people will kind of come back with this refrain if you say, oh, I want it more realistic. Well, it's a game. It shouldn't be realistic. It doesn't need to be realistic. Who cares about realism? And I agree with that to a certain extent. The thing with realism is, though, other people, engineers, specialists, people who are experts in the field have worked many, many, many hours to figure out what works best. And so often when I talk about realism, I'm not necessarily meaning that I want it to be 100% realistic. What I mean is that there are some logical decisions that have been made in real life that have to have been made to do things like, for example, make mining profitable. And so when I try to get things to be a little bit more realistic, part of that desire to do that is things get a little bit more streamlined and they just work better because, you know, engineers and people in the field have worked thousands and thousands of hours on figuring out the best ways to operate. And so that's part of what I'm doing here too, is by making things more realistic, it's going to make things just a little bit more smoothly. If you try to reinvent the wheel, you'll often run into the problems that people who had already done that have solved. You know, and so that's one of the reasons why I do that. The devs, I wish, had followed a little bit more of realism when they went into the Industrial Frontier DLC, especially the mineral portion of it. Because they made, for example, their facilities unrealistic, we now have engineering problems that we wouldn't have in real life. Now, as you can imagine, the first people to make a metal foundry, they went through these things. You know, they realized, guess what? Whatever is bringing in the metal ore, say a train, needs to be close enough to the dump point that the train can dump the ore. It wouldn't make sense to dump the train onto a truck to move it 20 feet over there, right? You just move the conveyor belt. And so this is part of the issue of what the devs have done is I wish they had looked at realism a little bit more, and I think we could have got a better industrial frontier. I will still make a video at some point of that, and I'll put it on the official bug tracker, and I'll provide links so you guys can look at it. And if you agree, you can put the star on there, and hopefully the devs see it, and they'll realize, hey, with a few small changes, we can make Industrial Frontier much better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and I will time-lapse us out here. We're going to go from up here at Cobalt Ore Terminal. We'll come all the way down the tracks here. We'll come over this area here. We'll come in, and we'll go into Empire. We're going to come down on this track, and we're going to use our side dumping train cars to dump the iron ore into the receptacle here. I already have 2 cars awaiting. I'm going to dump 10, and then I'm going to see where it falls, and I have to move these cars to put them there. All right, so I'll see you guys when we get there. Alright, so here we go. We're coming into Empire right now. I just saw that there was a sign, and I thought it was in the middle of the road. It's not. We're coming up here to Empire. So we're going to want to stay on the left track here. We're going to need to get up there and dump these. And so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hand load probably 10. Maybe I might just quickly dump out of the funnel. I'll dump out of the funnel. I'll just make it quick. I'll dump about 10 in there. So the way it works is if we put 10 iron ore in there, we will get a single iron ingot. All right, and so unfortunately, again, part of the logistics problems the devs did is they did not label the funnels, and they also didn't make on-off switches. So as soon as we put 10 in there, 1 is going to drop. After 60 seconds, it's going to disappear. All they had to do is put a toggle button, which some people have made with add-ons, but again, we shouldn't have to. And so what I'm going to do is dump in the 10. it will drop an iron ingot. Now I know which funnel it is going from, and then I have to back up. I have 2 cars. You can actually see them right there, sitting there already. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move those cars into place so that I can dump the rest of the iron ore, and it's going to drop into the appropriate waiting car. Alright, so as you can see, if you look at the way this is set up here, I have 2 ways I can do it. I can go to the right here and past and rejoin, or I can back up here and then go forward. So I don't think it really even matters which way I go. They're going to be about the same amount of time. Let's go ahead and we'll go buy it. Let's actually check and see if it's already set. So, okay, well, let's back up. I changed my mind. We'll back up because this one is already set correctly. So let's... As you can see, we get wheel slip and brakes. That's what I like about having this automated train system is just set the speed. So the way it works is essentially the PID. It will, of course, increase the power to the engines if we're going slower than I'd like it to do. And if it ever gets to a low enough number, it applies the brakes. So a lot of the time, it doesn't apply much or any brakes. But when it really needs to slow down, it will apply a lot of brakes. As you can see, I don't have to manually control brakes. Now, for people who like a lot of realism, people who like simulators, a lot of the guys at EOS who are very much train experts or, you know, have done a lot of research on trains, you know, they'll tend to have separate brake systems, which I think is cool. It's just not the way I tend to do it on my train stuff. All right, good. So we're back. We're now backing onto the correct track. And once we get past this switch, I think I should be able to go straight. I have to check this one here. And, okay, so see, it has me going right, so I'm going to track switch it to the left. As you can see, it didn't do did it brakes? I don't think it did a big brake application on that one. It just turned the motors backwards. Alright, so then when we go up here, we're going to have to switch to the left track. As you can see, that is our dump area right there. We'll dump in 10. We'll see which funnel it drops from. And then once I know what funnel it drops in, we'll probably back up the train. We'll head over here. We'll snatch those cars with the front of the train, and we'll put them under the right funnels. So if we expect here, we have, let's say, we have a maximum of, say, 2,600 in here. That means we're going to have a maximum ingot of only 1/10 of that. So if we put in 2,600 iron ore, we're going to get out at most 260 iron ingots. So that allows us to fill 1 trailer. So we only need 1 trailer for leaving here. Switch the track over. As you can see, there are the 2 cars. And we're going to go to the left here, and we'll dump a little. Alright, so here we are coming up on the dump area here. So this, of the problems the devs created with not, you know, using realistic logistics for these facilities and these operations, this one was not all that challenging to solve. It's a little bit weird, you know, a lot of people like to make replicas of realistic, real-life machines, and so this kind of destroys that, and that's another reason why I really think it helps the devs to just make some realistic equipment, because those of us who want to make maybe some replicas of realistic, real-life stuff, it kind of ruins that for us that we can't do it because, you know, their facilities aren't realistic, so we can't make machines that would operate with those facilities. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab... I need to just dump it in here. So let's dump a little. Now let's see what went in there. So I have 4 left in the duck. I had 1 in there, so let's just grab 4. And so what I'm going to do is manually hand dump these in there. Alright, and I'm just going to do a quick dump here. And I need to see where this falls. So I need to quickly run over there. Again, I only have 60 seconds. A button would fix this, and here's my iron ingot. So as you can see, it's this funnel right here. So the devs could have made this. Another thing they need to do is label these. Right there, put a sign that says iron, steel, gold, whatever, aluminum, whatever they're going to be, put a label and put buttons. That fixes that issue. And again, I don't think we should have an end stop here. I think it should be underpiped, but I'll make the video. So I need to move one of these cars over here. So I now have the iron ingot. If we look at it, you can see how it's a different shape. All right, so now I have to back the train up and put this away to be able to move that car. Theoretically, I could push it with my body, but I don't really want to do that. I'm going to use the train. So we need to put this proboscis away. So again, I wish the devs would have looked at some realistic setups of facilities that would have made it so that we could make realistic machines. And it's cool to do the engineering of it, but like I said, a lot of us want to make some things that are based on real life. And if you don't base your facilities on real life, it makes it difficult for us to do what we want to do with that. All right, good. So let's go ahead and let's head into the train. We're going to back up, we're going to get on, and we're going to move one of those. We just need one of those cars, but I'll bring both of them because they're already attached, so. Alright, so here we go. We're arriving at Screeches. And as, as expected, we have some issues with this again. You know, need to think about how a realistic facility works. Now, of course, iron ingots are going to be these very large, huge things. I would kind of like that. I understand why the devs went with this tiny little particle, essentially, that is our iron ingots, that we just have this tiny little particle that can be dumped in the hoppers. I understand it. Is it my preferred way? No. What I would have liked is, for example, to have these types of, beams here, I-beams, some flat plate, stuff like that. But it makes sense why they couldn't do that or why they didn't do that is a little bit, you'd have to be able to spawn a crane down there to be able to crane it on. You could put a crane in there, but they have to make sure that's working. So I understand why they didn't do that, but it's, it's not really feasible, so I get that. But what should they do to fix this space? Well, one, again, put a bottom dump in here. Now, if they need to be able to have all these different ones, I don't know why they have all these different ones, but okay, if they want to do this, all they have to do is duplicate these hoppers for each type of mineral and put them under the tracks so that we can either dump it by train or we can dump it by truck. Now, I talked when we were over there about the truck, right? The truck would have driven through, it would have driven up, it would have dumped its goods, it would have driven under the funnel, pressed a button, filled the truck back up. This is the road right here. It would drive in. Now, this is reasonable the way these are, but you can't really back up to them. Again, I think they should make them so you can either drive over them to do bottom dump or back up to them. You wouldn't be driving out in the sand, so what they should do is extend this asphalt way out here, and that will allow us to either drive over them or back up. That's a simple solution to fix the truck portion. The train portion, have a second despawn area underneath the tracks. That's what they should do. And again, because the way the devs set this up, I can't operate properly. Let's see if I can spawn my front end loader. If I can spawn it here, this actually isn't too bad. I think I might be able to. If we can spawn this, beautiful. All right, so we're fine. All right, so this is actually not as bad as I thought. This is a free workbench. All right, this is at K-Strom's gas station. As you can see, it's a short drive to Screeches. So we're actually going to drive the loader. I built this last career build series. This is what's known as a high tip bucket. So because the funnels are kind of weird, I have this high tip bucket. This is how it works in real life. You have a plate and you have the bucket shape. There's hydraulics. It would lower the bucket down. You'd fill the bucket, and then normally what you have to do is tip the bucket. So the bucket will go up a certain height, but then when it tips, it goes down lower, and it's hard to put it in the back of a trailer. With a high tip, the actual bucket separates like this, and it pours the goods out. Not only is it dumped faster, but it allows you to dump at a higher height. Well, I use that to hide my funnels. So that's what I do with this loader. So this was built last career build series. If you want to see this built, you can go back there. All right, let's see. Raise high tip, lower high tip. So we're going to go ahead and lower the high tip. So that's how the bucket looks with it closed. And let's go ahead and get getting. So I have to try to remember how to run this. Master power, generator start stop. Okay. So this is diesel electric. And a lot of my construction vehicles and mining stuff, not some of my new mining stuff, is direct drive. These are diesel electric, and part of the reason is just for expediency of going forward and backwards. And when I built the excavator and this, I don't spend much time in either of them because I have to dump the parts. Oh, don't break, break. I'm just going way too fast. I have to put a stability system in this. When I built the excavator in this last career build series, what I do is there's actually no internal capacity in the excavator. What you do is you drill and let all of the ore fall on the ground, and then you have to quickly run over within a minute and jump into the front end loader and scoop it up. And so because of that, I'm never in one of them for very long. Go. This will come on now. I'm never in them for very long, and so I found that a diesel electric system works best because, it will rev up the engine to maintain battery voltage and allows me to quickly run forward and back without a transmission. It's easy in a tracked vehicle to do diesel electric because you don't have to actually run the torque pipes through the turret. And so that's a better way for that. And then this is, you're in and out of this all the time, so you don't really need it. So let's get into screeches. So this actually works. You hear the engine just start up. So this actually is, I think, is going to be my solution until hopefully maybe they fix it. But, you know, like I've been saying, I've been talking about what my desired fix is for a lot of these things. Will they do it? You know, I don't know. But I'm going to make a comprehensive video. It's going to take some time because I have to make some add-ons. I have to make some parts. And I'm going to actually kind of show them how to build the facility. You know, if I want this actually done, I need to give them as much data as possible so that they can kind of realize it. And it needs to be in a very positive way. You know, if somebody came screaming at you, hey, you did this wrong, you know, you're not going to want to do what they ask, you know, even if it's right, because they were being a jerk about it, man. And so I'm going to come at it in a positive way, and I'm going to show them how it's done in real life. I need to make a script isn't the right way. I need to formulate it in a way where I am not rambling like a buffoon, as I am like to do. And I need to show them some pictures of how it's done in real life, how many of us would like to make some replica builds, and how it's going to make their game better, and I would say better received by the general player base, and how they can make Industrial Frontier, which I think is a great idea, but has some implementation problems, work better. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to park right up against it like that. Oh, it's got to... This is iron ore. I don't even know anymore, man. Is there steel in here? This is the iron ore hopper. Okay, the train's backwards. All right, never mind. The train is backwards. I have to pull up. Okay. I was looking at the wrong thing. We've actually been going backwards the whole time. Okay. So let's show you how a high tip works. So this is how a high tip works. Now, let's back up. All right, so this is why, you know, you see this a lot in agricultural applications. You see this in some mining operations, high tips. So you come up to the trailer to tip. I've run front-end loaders before. And so you see, this one's actually pretty tall. This can do it. So right now, if you were to tip the bucket, see how high that bucket is? So let's flatten the bucket out. So right here is a flat bucket. All right. Now you see how high that is. Okay. Now, in order to tip the bucket, right, the goods are going to want to stay in the bucket until I go to there, or lower. And so it's going to cause, it reduces the height that the bucket can dump at. Well, with a high tip, what you're doing is, oh my God, this is going to break now. There we go. So with a high tip, you notice it doesn't, you don't lose any height in it. I don't know why that's, infinite fuel on. That's why. Infinite fuel is on. So, we're having problems here. I'm trying to fix all these issues, but, again, it's all just, this doesn't have enough fuel in it. So, I'll deal with this later. But I'm going to fix everything. You know, we have too much steel. I'm going to despawn everything. I'm going to calculate what the money should be. And I'm going to fix the money. You know, I'm not going to cheat and have more money than I should have because of this. It's turned into kind of a cluster because of these issues. But that's how a high tip bucket works. And by splitting the bucket like this, it gives you the full height of the vehicle. So if you have a really tall trailer, now this is a very large, like, off-road. And what I mean by off-road is, like, this would never drive on the road. Like, you have some front-end loaders that actually have license plates on them that can drive on the road. They're light enough. This would be so heavy, you would never put this on the road. And so something this size has the high enough reach. But you imagine if you're dumping into an open pit mining dump truck, it's going to be so high you need that high tip bucket. And so that kind of fixes the issue with, I'm having all sorts of control problems with this. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get the steel. The steel's in here. Oh my God, I'm stuck. All right, let's get the steel. Let's turn into kind of a cluster here, trying to fix this. I need infinite electricity on because of broken stuff. is that starting again? Okay. All right, and so this is going to be our steel, so let's get in there. But I think this is a good way to make screeches work. Again, I hope the devs fix it. They're probably not going to, at least soon. But we spawn something at K-Strom's for free. We own that workbench. Off the bat, it's just a free workbench. And we can drive down here and service this, no problem. Maybe that was their idea, but again, you know, I don't believe in limiting gameplay. Let us, if you have train guys who just want to dump with the train, let them do that, man. You're not helping gameplay by limiting it for people. Let people use a train if they're train files that love trains. You know, if they want to use trucks, they can use trucks. Let us use either one, man. All right, so this is gonna work. This is gonna allow me to pump in the steel. So I'm gonna just take. So what I should have had is about 260 steel. Of course, it got screwed up because I kept putting on infinite fuel. But we should get about 260 steel. And after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recall all the vehicles back to the workbench. And I'm going to fix the money because the money is screwed up. It's just, there's a bunch of stuff screwed up now because I had some issues and had to, accidentally, I had to despawn a vehicle because it tipped over because of a bug. And so it just caused me all sorts of headache. So these are medium, so I think I forget what the capacity is on these, but I might be able to get close to putting 260 in there. But this works as a somewhat of a workaround. Let's try to get a screenshot here of it. There we go. There we go. So that's going to work as our method to get this dumped properly. And so if we look at the map, this isn't going to give us a ton of money either. This was a lot of work for this money. That's why you definitely, if you're going to be doing this, you want to have a huge train. And again, the way they did this is not great. So like, we should have 260. Should we? No. Yeah, we should have like 260 steel times 150. So that's 39,000. That's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. All right, there we go. I definitely think they should do a balancing pass. And what I mean by a balancing pass is one of the biggest resources you have is time. And so, for example, of course you can kind of, cheating isn't the right word, you can kind of get around this in game with some of the unrealistic things. Like, for example, you can pick up insane amounts of weight with a helicopter. You're getting better profits than you probably would IRL. So, for example, IRL, it would make no sense to try to pick up a container and move a container with a helicopter long distance for low volume, inexpensive goods. It just wouldn't make any financial sense to do that. But it does in game one because a helicopter costs $26,000. Even the smallest helicopters IRL will cost you $1 million. And you burn a lot of fuel. We pay no money in maintenance costs. So where a truck has relatively inexpensive maintenance costs, a helicopter has insane maintenance costs. And so because the helicopter would have insane maintenance costs, you have to worry about that. Also, we can kind of have a container, you see people with like 10 containers slung under the helicopters. Of course, that would never work in real life. So, of course, we can kind of exploit it, take a helicopter with 10 containers, and that's the most profitable thing. I don't think they should screw with that. But, they should kind of come up with, how much your time's worth. So, for example, right now, that took a certain amount of time for me to go do all that stuff to get 39,000. That was a lot of hours invested for 39,000. Now, it needs a little bit of a buff. It doesn't need to be too bad, but again, they could bring these in line a little bit better. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to end this up, and I'm going to kind of I'm going to rip all this apart. I'm going to go through, and I'm going to pretty much recall everything back to the workbench. It's kind of become a pain, and a lot of this turned into testing. when I finally get all the bugs and the kinks worked out, I think I have a method here, and I think we're pretty set. And so let's talk about what I've learned from, again, getting back into mineral mining, how to fix the issues the devs put in with their poor logistics choices, let's put it that way. So, in order to do iron, the best thing to do is send up a scraper, a dumper, and a auger. It's going to go up, and it will drill, drill, drill. It will dump into the off-road dump truck. The dump truck will come down. It will use the auger from the train to fill the train cars. Now, once I'm out of the testing phase, one of the reasons why I went away was my scraper needed so many fixes. I was going to have to go back and forth like 10 times to finally get the scraper figured out. The scraper is figured out. And I really want to go back and do some missions, so I'm going to put all my toys away. We're finally at the point now where I think most of our machines are working well. I'm going to also make I've taken some notes. I'm going to go ahead and, with those notes, I'm going to upgrade all my vehicles for my mineral operation. And then the next time we do mining, we're going to hit it hard. And what we're going to do is we're going to stay up here for a while. This is where the time investment really gets out of hand and this is how it is in real life. You don't want to be moving your mining equipment up the mountain every day. You want to move them. It could take you a month to move all your equipment up there. In game, it might take me an hour to move all my equipment up here. Then I want to keep it up here as long as possible. And so you leave it up here, you drill, drill, drill. Let's say we put 10,000 units of iron, 100,000 units of iron on the train. Okay, that's where we'd want to get. Then I can get rid of all the mining equipment and put it away. Train comes down here. It uses that side duct. It dumps into Empire. We still have a problem with the way these train cars work. I can't get around that. That's just the way the game is. You know, again, they should be under here where I can come in on this rail, dump in here, come down this rail, then back the exact same train cars up, have funnels on this side. They set the base up perfectly. They just screwed up in this area here and over here. And then you come under here, you have funnels, you press a button, you fill all those train cars. You come down. We go to screeches. Now, we use that side dump like I just did, and we dump into the front end loader. The front end loader then runs and dumps, and it transfers from the train. Again, what they should do is put a bottom dump for the train there. That way, it makes it a lot better, I think. So that's going to be how our operation works. And so once it's on the train, we can get rid of the stuff up here. And then with K-strums right here, we can easily spawn vehicles to go back and forth to the train. So I think that's how we're going to do it. I think that's the way to get this mineral actually working somewhat realistically. If I want to do aluminum, aluminum's not bad either. As you can see, there's a train park area here. We can mine up and in the facility, up in the area here, bring it down, dump it on the train, and the same sort of thing. So those would be my workarounds until hopefully the devs fix what is wrong with Industrial Frontier. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.